Hello, everyone, and welcome again to the Darren Newman Dialogues. Glad to have you along with us again for another great time together. We hope you'll jump right in and engage with us today and be a part of the conversation. Last couple of times we've been together, we've had some incredible discussions and have just some enlightening experiences, I think, that have just challenged us and motivated us and inspired us. And I hope it has you too. And I think we're going along that route again today. And just here at the top of the show, let me remind you again, if you're watching by way of YouTube today, make sure that you subscribe. If you've been found us by someone sharing this or through our social media channels, from the website, wherever you found us, if you landed here on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like this video, and also make sure you hit that bell icon so that you can be notified when the next one is uploaded and we are here again for another dialogue moment with you. So Dr. Newman, hello and welcome again, and good to be
Great to see
back
you,
with
brother.
you. Good to see
Yeah,
you.
thank you. Thank you for
Good to
that.
see you. I'm looking forward to the continuation today. We did have some dynamic thoughts and inspiration, I thought, the last couple of times. And where are we going today?
Well, it's going to go back to something that you and I were talking about after we closed last time.
Okay.
You had mentioned something which triggered a further thought in me about beauty, goodness, truth, and courage, and all of these things. But before I get into that, I was just thinking of some thoughts that are surrounding this idea of greatness, of being connected, of being whole, of healing ourselves, working from those motifs. I was reminded today, it came to me of this great story of I think it was a missionary in one of the countries of Africa, and they were going along, and I don't think it was a missionary like in the sense of trying to convert the whole world or something like that, but something like a medical missionary who wanted to offer some help in healing, and 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 whoever it was wanted to get to wherever they were heading very, very quickly. So they were on the move. It was decades ago. So it gives a context. It wasn't like in the modern way of travel. And they were traveling along. I think they were walking or just doing something, but he was just traveling, he was just marking off the steps very quickly. And the people that were helping him just sat down, and he turned around and he wondered what was going on. And he went back and he said, "What are you doing? What are you doing? We got to get going. What are you doing?" And they were just seated resting. And they said, "We're waiting." He said, "Come on, let's go." They said, "No, no." He said, "Well, what are you waiting on?" They said, "We're waiting for our souls to catch up with our bodies. We're waiting for our souls to catch up to our bodies." So our bodies have been going rampantly, but we forgot about our souls. So we're not whole. See, we've got to wait to catch up in our thoughts. And sometimes in the middle of life, I wonder, from that old story, I don't even know where it comes from, that whole idea of becoming almost so disconnected. I know there's been times in my life I felt that I was going someplace and my body would be someplace, but my mind and my heart, my soul was someplace else. And that probably helped. That's probably just part of the human experience, maybe. I don't know, but that rampantness that we have today, the sort of way that we have of going nowhere quickly, as some authors put it. I remember Thoreau's words, "The mass of men," he writes, and what he was talking about men is made in the general sense. The mass of human beings lead lives of quiet desperation. Quiet desperation. And he wrote that in the 1840s. That's actually in Walden Thoreau's great book, concerning connection with nature, connection with ourselves. That's one of the themes of the book. That's one I've always derived from it. But that quote, the massive man lead lives of quiet desperation. And then he talks about why he went to the woods to begin with, and that was to front the essential facts of life. I went to the woods to live deeply, he writes, to front only the essential facts of life and see what it had to teach me. Right? And he said, I wanted to live deep. Listen to this line. I wanted to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life. And then he goes on and he says, and not come to the end of my life and figure out that I had never, ever lived. Isn't that a haunting thought? Isn't that something?
Very much so.
I wanted to live deep. I went to the woods because why? I wanted to live deep. That was his why. He wanted to live deep. So he goes to the woods in order to front what he thinks are the essential facts of life, to like confront life where it truly was. And that for him was in the middle of the wild, the nature, you know. And when I say the wild, I don't mean it like wild in a disconcerting way. It's wild, it's free, it's good, and it can teach us. So he went to that because he wanted to find out what life was all about, and not, and I love that line, and I'll repeat it once again, just simply because it's so good, isn't it? That to come to the end of my life and then to look back and think, I never really did anything. I never really lived. So again, the disjuncture, isn't it? It's the healing, it's that thought. So I was teaching recently and I ran across Aristotle's thought, which comes from his great book called The Nicomachean Ethics. Not to sound really academic, because academic can sound academic sometimes, but he didn't write it for what we consider academicians today, where it's just kind of like this out of touch thought that you know, that's not really relevant to life. And he says one thing that really captures my mind, and I might have covered it before here, but he said that everything in life has a purpose. And here's what he means by it. It serves a purpose. It serves the purpose that it has within it. And here's what he means. He doesn't mean, I'm going to tell you what he doesn't mean. He doesn't mean that modern sense of purpose where I've got to find my purpose, I've got, what is my purpose here? He looked at it more, I won't call it scientifically, but more in the way that we're built. So he gives this example, he gives several examples, but the one example I've always used is an oak tree. And so you take an acorn and you plant the acorn into the ground, it grows into the beautiful, massive oak tree, this beautiful tree. And within that acorn, if you stop to think about the wonder of this, everything that oak tree will be is found in that acorn, that one acorn. And that tree can grow up hundreds of years, right? In England, of course, and in our first growth forests that we still have a little bit, which I'm proud to say that we still do. But you can see trees hundreds of years old, and you take an oak that's hundreds of years old, came from one small acorn that you can hold in the palm of your hand, and you think about what that represents. So when that acorn begins to grow into that oak tree, or the oak tree comes away or grows out of that acorn, it seeks to become, and this is the only way I know how to explain it to myself, that oak tree seeks to become the best it can be, the best oak tree upon wherever it is, in the woods, upon the hill, wherever it is, right? And it will grow massive. It will grow greatly. It will stretch its branches out. They will receive the sunshine, right? And through all of the wind, the rain, the seasons, it grows and it grows and it reaches upwards, becoming the excellent tree that it seeks to be. And some people say, well, I don't want to be excellent. I just want to be that small little tree up on the hill. Well, not for the oak tree. The oak tree seeks something differently. And that's what Aristotle saw in things that exist. They seek to become, here it is, they seek to live out their potential. They seek to live out their greatness. They seek their greatness, right? And that gets to me every single time.
Yeah.
Because I've heard it said, and I've heard it said in front of me, and I hopefully it was never said to me, because it would break my heart. Well, I'm sure it has been indicated to me. I'm not living up to my full potential, right? I'm not doing what I can do. So what is the potential that we have? And I go back to Thoreau's great quote about living deeply, about the saying that was given from those wise people when they said, we're waiting for our souls to catch up to us. Where is the greatness here? You know, where's it that we will become bothered by the fact that I am not doing something to become great in my life? Now, I don't want that to be a nerve-wracking thing, but I wonder in individuals who are living fully that there is a sense that they want to live greatly, almost not a sense of urgency that would make you nervous, but a sense of, I have an amount of time I can do something and become impactful in my life. So go back to what we were talking about, and this was something that was mentioned to me on Beauty, Goodness, Truth, and Courage. And you said, and I'm going to paraphrase, not a direct quote, but you said, I want to become beautiful. I want to become good. I want to be courageous. You remember saying that?
I do.
And and I'm not trying to spot you out on that, but I feasted my mind when I heard that. I thought, yes. And I didn't want to escape out of that point. I wanted to have a conversation, a dialogue about this, and just to mention something that's up on my mind and heart. So if we go back to Beauty, Goodness, Truth, Courage, which we've been talking about for the past 2 times, and this might be the third and final installment, if you will, in the trilogy of this, but those 4 are such what I would call watchwords for greatness, the watchwords of greatness. And here's what I mean by that. And I don't want to take this in a banal way or in a low-minded way. It's actually something very profound and rich, that to believe in something greater than ourselves, and to work from that courage, right? That we take in that we're serving that which is greater than ourselves. What person does not want to be courageous? Courageous in everything that we do, courageous in everything that we stand for. What person doesn't want to know something and become educated, right? What person doesn't want to learn? I mean, back to Aristotle, he said, men and women by nature desire to know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's our nature to try to find out things. It's our desire to educate, to to figure out things in our life. Then if we come down to the part of beauty, passion, what person doesn't want to become beautiful in the sense of not the banal sense of, just a physical sense, but a beautiful life, a life where we keep ourselves healthy and we keep ourselves grand and we keep ourselves with a sense of pride. Look upon life with a sense of passion, be proud of ourselves. There's nothing wrong in that. There is something wrong if I'm proud of myself and you're nothing to me, but there's nothing wrong in being proud of ourselves and who we are, who we are and whose we are, and to look forward to that, to have a sense of dignity about that. And that's a very beautiful thing. And then to offer kindness, to offer goodness.
Yes.
And I thought long and hard about that. If that makes any sense so far, it's these watchwords that I've got going on in my mind. And I think about those in that 4 ways. I think of my, what's above me, what's in my mind, in my heart, and what do I do with my life? In fact, I go through a prayer each and every day that I pray for these. I pray for beauty, goodness, truth, courage. And I was led into that prayer some time ago. And every morning I say that prayer, and I go through my own little ritual to secure that in my heart and in my mind, because it is that watchwords that I'm going for. So there's a point here that I want to that I'm going towards. So it's not just a sort of like a cheerleading aspect. Become beautiful, become great, become all of these things, because that's too easy. That's like a self-help without any thought behind it. It's like, just go off and be happy, be great, whatever,
Do it.
whatever that means. And I don't mean to treat it like that. It's life is much more dynamic. Life is a struggle. And I'm going to share something about that. So hang on a second, or hang on more than a second, but this is my thought, that in those watchwords of beauty, goodness, truth, and courage, though they are the watchwords of all we want to be, they are also the watchwords that keep us very cautious of how we do not want to be. And that is that they give us a sense of calling in which we are healing and we are courageously fighting and standing for that which are these precious callings of our life. So let me show you something here that I was thinking about, or let me just say this from my heart, that when I'm thinking about that as my watchword, I'm thinking also what I do not want to be. And that is, I don't want to be a coward. I don't want to be the one who stands on the bank and doesn't try out something. I mean, as people have said, I want to go over the hill to find out what lies there. But it's very easy for me not to be courageous, right? It's very easy for me to stay, behind and not do anything or embark. It's very easy for me not to learn anything, or just simply tell myself or lie to myself, or when someone needs to know the truth, not to say anything, right? Or just simply to give them, and I hate to say it, but give them a sort of lie, because it's a lot easier, isn't it? Right? It's a lot easier not to try to create beauty, but just to go with something, it's all right, right? It's all right. It's mediocre. Like Someone said, do you like it? Ah, it's all right. You know, do you like that meal? Well, that's all right. You know, it's okay. You know, it's okay. See it?
Yes.
That's not beauty. That's not passion. That's not drive. That's not truth. That's not courage. And not to do something good and kind, because it's a lot easier to go past that person that needs kindness. It's a lot easier to go past, and I love animals, I love nature. It's a lot easier to turn a blind eye away from it and not do anything, isn't it? So how do we become good? How do we become kind? How do we become these things? Well, that's for us to figure out. That there was a thing about that Plato always practiced in the dialogues, which I was always, it's frustrating, but it's also enlightening too. Plato, when he wrote the dialogues, and Socrates is always teaching in those dialogues, and then, you know, as we come to call this the dialogues, he gives homage to the great philosopher and great thinker and great leader Plato, as he wrote about Socrates, the, you know, the great philosopher of the Western world. That to whom Steve Jobs said, or of whom Steve Jobs was one time said, I wish I could spend an afternoon with him because I would trade in all of my technology if you ever gave me the chance. He said, I would trade in all of my technology for an afternoon with Socrates. And it was one thing that Socrates never did do. And Plato is writing about this, and he never has him do it. It's finish a dialogue. It's finish with the answer. And that was always amazing to me and frustrating, because you're wanting to know, what do I need to do? And I don't know, because it is for the individual to take these and to implement them in your own life, to face your own fear. I don't know what the fear is, right? I mean, if you talk to me, I could tell you about mine. And I hope that somebody would say to me, have courage, it's going to be okay, right? Go courageously into those dreams, or what you can do, what your calling is, because the calling is to stand against the easy way, right? You and I have often talked about the calling of a person's life is, you'll know it's your calling when you're willing to live in a shack on a dirt floor just to have that fire within you, that you know that you're in that right place doing what you are called to do, right?
Yep.
You know that you're taking the stand. You know you're making life more beautiful by what you create. You know that you're standing for truth and you're giving that knowledge. You're standing courageously and you're doing good things. And though it might be easier to get out of the shack and to live on with carpeted floors, you know, and that sort of thing, you know, just be in these palatial mansions, no, you won't have the drive. You'll live, but you'll wake up one day, you'll exist, and then you'll wake up one day and figure out, I never really lived, did I? See it? So that's what I was triggered by when I start thinking about beauty, goodness, truth, goodness, courage, all of these things, as they come about in life, that they are things which give us not only the watchwords, those beacons of light, but they're also what we fight against too, because it's very easy not to do those. So the last point that I'm thinking about, though, is something that I want to encourage people with, and it's something I have to encourage myself with. It comes actually from Zig Ziglar, who wrote one time, and I ran onto this just in the past day or two, and I'm going to paraphrase this. It is the struggle. The struggle is the thing. It's the struggle. Now, I want to treat this kindly and tenderly, but encouragingly. Oftentimes when we face a struggle, it's really easy to give up, to go out and to say it's not worth the struggle.
Mhm.
But in the words of the wise, nothing good, nothing beautiful, nothing courageous, nothing which truly made a difference was ever done without the struggle. You have to go through the struggle. And I was reminded of so many people that, for whatever reason, and I'm not trying to preach with this, but we've gone on so rampantly. We hate the struggle of it. We try to get away from that. Yet it is the struggle wherein we learn. That comes all the way from a Greek philosopher, writer, dramatist called Aeschylus. When Aeschylus, you can call him Aeschylus or Aeschylus. Some people call him, I call him Aeschylus. I could be pronouncing that completely wrongly, but I'll call him what I want to there. But Aeschylus wrote in this striking play that oddly enough encourages people. He writes in the Agamemnon this line: truth comes only with pain. Truth comes only through pain. And if you look at that sentence, very it's a point that a lot of people want to argue against, right? Can we find truth another way? Aeschylus says no. See, truth always comes through pain. And in fact, what he does is he plays with words. From pathos comes mathos. From passion and struggle, which pathos, passion means struggle, from the struggle comes the knowledge, comes the truth. So you talk about anybody that has created anything beautiful, for example, they will always talk about, no matter how much they might say, this comes so easy for me, there's always a struggle in there someplace. Now, it might be that they've had to learn something. It might be that they've had to push through something. To do anything good, to learn anything comes with a struggle. So let me boil this all the way down in this encouraging word, and whoever this might find. I know that it is difficult, and I don't mean to sell this off just shortly, like it's as easy as could be, having beauty, goodness, truth, courage in your life. But if you're struggling, if something has happened that you've lost somehow your connection with those things, beauty in your life or goodness, and you can't find them, but you know that they're there, keep with that. And rely upon others to help you through. You could always do that. You can always look to friends. You can always look to people who love you and care about you. And I don't want to short sell this, but that answer lies within you. That answer that you have of making yourself great lies within you. And that it's that quest, it's that struggle that you're going through right now, which will teach you through time of what is beautiful, what is good, what is courageous, all of those things. It will bring you through. And somehow through and by divine grace, call it, you learn. And when the dust is all settled and you find that the struggle is over, you stand up with a new vigor, you stand up with a greatness, and you take on all of that, and you say with Thoreau, bring it all on, because I want to find more about this. Because through the pain comes the truth. Through the quest and the passion comes the beauty.
Yes.
Through the action comes the kind deed that you do for some living soul creature that needs you. Through the struggle comes great courage. Be encouraged by that, and that's how you can beautify, you can make courageous, you can make passionate, and you can become kind in your life. That's what I've been pondering. I hope that's understandable.
I think it's fantastic again, because I'm thinking about the last couple of times, of course, we've been together, and specifically this last time in the conversation we had after the show, we had been talking about we should possess beauty, we should possess truth, we should possess goodness and courage. And then, of course, it dawned on me, or I had that thought that you alluded to, that I want to be these things. I want to become these things, and I want to become beautiful. I want to become good. I want to become truthful, and I want to be courageous.
Yeah.
And so I love how you brought all that together. My life is always, to me, from an analogy point of view, has always been much like a sailboat. If you've ever been sailing, it's a very difficult thing to do. Most people in this world are drifting, Dr. Newman. I think they're just simply, sails are down or folded, and they're drifting through life. Some land in great success just by chance. Others land on rocky shores and have difficulties in their lives. But both of them question, how did I get here? And it was only chance and maybe circumstances that brought them there. It wasn't their own control. We all have destinies. So I've always said, I refuse to drift. I will take control of my own destiny, and I will set the sail, and I will adjust the sail toward goodness. I will adjust my sail toward the wind of truth. I will take the sail and I will adjust it to become good, so that my life is not just drifting aimlessly, but has purpose.
Yeah, that's it. And that struggle, as you said, you've got to set that sail, to use your analogy. That's not an easy fit. You've got to figure that out. You got to plot that out. That's the reason it's interesting for me that, back to Socrates, he always faced this group of people called the sophists. And he did not like what the sophists did with their lives, and it's for all practical purposes, they were the quick answer people for him. They were the people that went around calling themselves lovers of wisdom, lovers of beauty, lovers of truth, whatever.
Right.
But it was like they were just trying to figure out an angle, like how to get along, how to get something for nothing. He thought of them as almost like shysters, kind of like salesmen who wanted just kind of like to get money from you and get support from you, like they're giving wisdom, but they're not really giving you anything. It's just kind of like it's the bubblegum theology, I call it. It's like talking about life and faith as if it's all good all of the time.
Yes.
It's just like it's happy, it's bubblegum. And as I've said often, when the heartache comes, it is not, you need nutrition for your soul to live. You need nutrition for your body. You need to exercise your body. You need to exercise your soul. You've got to do that. And it's not easy. That path is not easy. You've got to do the work, as one thinker called it. Do the work.
That's it.
And that work takes work. And there's no easy way around it. And that might be disheartening in some way, until you get it through your thought that this struggle will teach me. This struggle is me,
Mhm.
and there will be meaning come from this.
Yes.
I will get a hold of it, right? I will achieve greatness through this. I've got to turn that sail, and it's not easy. It's not easy
No.
following a calling. It's not. But you'll become real. That reminds me of the Velveteen Rabbit. Do you remember that story?
Yes.
He asked the question, "How do you become real?" And they talk about when a child loves you so much that you get these holes, and I think he even says your eyes fall off. Everything starts to crumble, right? Because you've been through the struggle, you've paid the sacrifice. That's how you become real,
Yeah.
right? You don't want to talk to anybody that's not been out there, but you want to talk to the people who have been out there and who know this, who have suffered with this. I mean, who would you rather talk to? The person that just paints by numbers over there and calls themselves an artist, or do you want to talk to Michelangelo,
Mhm.
right? Who will you learn from?
Yeah.
Will you learn from the person that I don't know, that's had everything given to them and they've never had to work for anything? Or would you rather talk from that person that built everything from the ground up?
Yeah.
See, the struggle's the teacher. The struggle is the truth. The pain is the truth. It's beauty does not come without struggle, and that's what you have to embrace.
Yes.
Truth comes with a price,
Right. Right.
right? If you do goodness, you're going to might make somebody mad, or you're going to stand up for those who, in your justice, might be discounted by all of the naysayers that
Sure.
take that easy path. See it?
Yep.
It's becoming a mover, a shaker, a person with a great contribution to make.
The
Yes,
greatest
there it is.
greatest line I think you said today for me, talking about the oak tree, is that it was striving for its potential. I like that word.
Yes,
potential.
yes.
We can all be happy in life doing mundane things, and especially our American culture makes it easy for us to be
Mhm.
sails down and drifting on the water. Typically, the shores we land on by the tide
Yeah.
take us to something pretty nice and okay,
Mhm.
but it may not be our potential. And I
Right.
want greatness in my life. I want the highest potential. I want the best life I can have. And in
Yeah.
order to do that, I must raise that sail. I must strive for my greatest potential possible, and I must do the hard work.
Yeah.
So that when I end this life and I look back at the years, I can say, no regrets. I did all that I could do to be all that I could be, and
There
to
it
leave a
is.
mark in this life that mattered.
There it is.
That's what I want
There
to
it
do.
is.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. That's a good way. That's a good way to see it. And those beacons of light, like count them the stars in the firmament. As back to your sailing analogy, the ancient sailors would sail by the stars when it got dark.
Yes.
They when it got night, they would look for the stars, and they would wait until the stars came around again. It might be a storm. They
Mhm.
couldn't find them, but they held on because those stars are up there. Just hang on, man. Hang on. It's good analogies.
Yeah.
And it's great to talk about life like it's great to think about life. It's great to have somebody to say to us, the struggle. I had something happen to me years ago, and I want to give him credit for this. Um, if you hear when you hear his name, if he was somebody that meant someone to you, when I was in seminary, there was this great professor, Dr. Larry Wood. He taught philosophical theology, and he's the one that encouraged me to go on and do my studies where I did. Right, he was the one that told me yes when everybody else might have suggested no. Take the easy path. He said, you can do this, right? Very encouraging person, and a great thinker and a great teacher. And in so being a great teacher, he becomes a great leader. Going through a very what at the time was a very, kind of a tumultuous time. Personally, I was, thinking about things. I was confronted with something I had to do, some, struggle in life. I called him up about that. And I said, I want to ask you to pray for me. And he knew, I informed him of the situation I was facing. And he said, I'm not going to pray that you get out of the situation. This was the oddest thing he could have said to me. I was thinking, wow. I thought, hey, come on, pray. We always pray to get out of it, don't we? We pray, get out of here. I got to get this done. Get me out of here. He said, I'm not going to pray that you get out of it, but I'm going to pray for God to give you wisdom in the midst. So we put it.
Yeah.
Wisdom in the midst, M-I-D-S-T, in the middle of the stuff, in the middle of the storm, in the middle of the way, in the middle of your struggle. I'm not going to ask for you to be rescued. Well, to be asked that you have wisdom in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And that was a prayer I've often said. That was the only one prayer I have ever been granted immediately, seemingly. I mean, immediately, and with great overflowing blessing, like you would not believe. Because all of a sudden it gave me something that I should be praying for myself, not to get out of it, but to have wisdom in the midst, to pray for wisdom. And that's what taught me the most. And I am thankful to him for praying that prayer for me. And that's what led me on to do what I've done. And had he not prayed that prayer, had I not sought wisdom, I don't mean this to brag, I'm not bragging, had I chosen someone else to call who would have said, I'm going to pray that you get out of there. And I'm going to help you get out of this because this isn't right. This is too difficult, whatever, I'm going to get you out of here. I wouldn't have learned one thing, and I wouldn't have become the person that I am. Not that that means too much, but again, it's my way. It's your way, right? It's our way personally that we find out, and that's how we become the people that we are. And now I can help others because I've been there and I know this to be true, and that's how I can help you. That's the encouraging word.
For sure. If you're watching or listening today to the dialogue and you need some encouragement, you need some direction in your life, we hope these words and these thoughts today have brought some hope and maybe some direction in your life. Maybe you're praying the prayer that Darren mentioned a few moments ago. And sometimes our prayers will change the circumstances, and sometimes the prayer changes us, and the change happens within us. And I hope that you'll find the answer that you need today, because it's our desire and it's the goal and the mission of this podcast and of these times together to help you find a better way, to help you to be encouraged, to find your purpose. As we mentioned today, I believe to find your ultimate potential to be the greatest that you can be in your life. Dr. Newman, what a wonderful, wonderful life we have, and what a blessing it is to breathe in and out every single day, to have a new opportunity every morning.
Absolutely.
To start. And do you have any final thoughts as we wrap up today?
I'm going to close. I probably mentioned it before last time talking about, but I'm going to close with the words of the great Shawnee leader Tecumseh when he said, in that one great speech that he offers, beautify your life, right? He says that above this one point, and this is how he closes it. So when you come to die, you won't be like so afraid of what is to come, but you will be like a hero going home. How about that? You will die at the end of your days, and it will be like a hero going home. That's good.
That's
Right there.
fantastic.
I can't say it any better
I don't
than
think
the great Tecumseh.
I hope you'll join us next time as we endeavor and continue to embrace the wonder of life and the wisdom and the wild, that we can embrace all of these things in our lives. Be a part of the next conversation as we get together for another edition of the Darren Newman Dialogues. Beautiful.